Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty and today we're going to be making this cool avocado pattern. Apologies for this bright circle on the screen. I realised way too far into filming that I had the flash on my camera on. I've done my best to reduce it whilst editing the video, but if there's weird discoloured bits in that section of the screen, that's what it is. This is a beginner level tutorial, although if you've never made a pattern using the diamond method before, then you might want to start with this video, which has a complete introduction into this way of making patterns in Procreate so that you can understand some of the why as well as the how. To follow along with this tutorial, you will only need your iPad and Procreate if you want to do it the slightly more difficult way. I'm going to be using my fruit stamp brush set, this one here with these two avocado stamps. You can find this in the freebie library over on my website, and I'm going to be using the pattern maker canvas. If you don't have the pattern maker canvas, you can still follow along. You'll just need to create a square canvas. This one is 12 inches square at 300 dpi. This one has the seamless textures on it, which obviously you won't have in yours. I'm going to turn those off for a second. And you just need to make a diamond on an empty layer like this. So I'll turn my layers off, add a new layer. And the easiest way to draw a quick diamond that's going to work for what we're doing today is just fill this layer with colour, tap to transform, rotate it 45 degrees, tap on fit to canvas. Then we're going to add a layer above this one because we're not actually going to use this diamond here because it needs to be a transparent see-through one. So on this layer here above, just grab any old brush, do it in black so we can see, and I'm just going to draw roughly along the edges of this diamond. It doesn't have to be precise, but it does have to go off the edges of the canvas. So it needs to go all the way off the edges like that. If you'd drawn a diamond that came like that and didn't go all the way to the edges, that isn't going to work for this method. It's crucially important that it goes off the edges of the canvas on all four sides like that. Once you've got your diamond drawn in on a separate layer, you can then just delete that one underneath. And then this is what we'll be using to help us transform around our sketch layers. The one that comes in this pattern maker canvas is all set up with the different folders that you'll need, which again, you can add those as you go. But this one has this nice precise diamond, which will allow you to see that it's all lined up nicely. So let's change the background color to white. And I'm just going to choose this orange colour for stamping my motifs in. So let's find my fruit stamps and let's start with this little avocado here. First of all, we need to select the draw here first layer or an empty layer if you've drawn your own diamond. The reason we start drawing on an empty layer first and not on the diamond is that that's going to allow us to move things around before we merge it down with the diamond. So now I'm just going to stamp some of these avocados around the canvas. I'm going to do one of this on this empty layer and then add a layer above and stamp one of the other type, and then I can duplicate these and move them around, which is another reason for doing it above the sketch diamond on an empty layer first. So let's tap to transform this and turn off snapping, and we can just start placing these around the canvas. And I think I've probably got enough on there now where I'm at the point where I can merge these down and merge them down onto this sketch diamond layer. So I've now got all of this on one layer, and I'm going to use this to build out the bits on the corners. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap to transform, I'm going to turn snapping and magnetics on for this. I'm going to bring it up and over to the left and snap it into each one of these corners. And every time I do this, I'm making sure I've got these orange guidelines there telling me that it's snapped into exactly the right place. And you'll have those regardless of whether you're using this canvas or the diamond that you drew yourself. The advantage with this canvas is you've also got these precise little crosshairs which tell you that you've got everything definitely in the right place. Sometimes the snapping can be a bit fiddly, and this is a really good way to instantly see whether it's in the right place or not. So one last piece to duplicate down into this canvas, and then these top four that we've just put around the outside, we can merge those two together, and I'm going to tap on that and invert it so that you can see what's what. So the blue ones are the bits we've just duplicated, and the orange ones are the ones that we placed with the stamp. We've not got any bits overlapping. I think probably we just need to place one in here and then space the others out, and then that should be okay. So I'm going to go down to my orange layer, add a layer above, turn off snapping and get this one where we want him to be. We've got one upside down here going that way, so having him this way is probably going to work best. And then I'm going to use my select tool to fine tune the rest. Now those are in place, because we've moved these things around, that's going to mean that these things on the outside should be moved around, and this blue is no longer correct, so we can delete that. We can merge this down now and then reapply those around the outside. So duplicate, turn snapping back on again, and move these out to the sides. Again, always checking that you've got those orange lines there so that you can know it's in exactly the right place. And then we can have a look and see how this is looking on a zoomed out scale by building out a little preview. So we're going to swipe down with 3 fingers, copy all, come up here to our textures, swipe down with 3 fingers again and tap paste. And then we can grab this, bring it up to 1800 pixels, or the top quarter of your document, duplicate it, bring it over to the side, pinch those two together, duplicate it and bring it down to the side. And then you can see how this is looking. I never know whether to say like a larger scale or a smaller scale, because the pattern's in a smaller scale, but we've got a larger view of it. Anyway, what is jumping out to me here is this one here. These two are too close together, so we'll probably rotate that one around and then maybe move this one a little bit as well. So it's this one here and that one there that we want to move around. So let's come down to our orange layer and we'll move this one. Zoom in so we can see. Now it's okay to grab these bits and move them around. It doesn't matter that we've broken the edge of the diamond there. As long as these corners stay intact, it doesn't matter if you have to erase or move around bits of the middles. Let's have a look at how this is looking now. So we can delete the outside bit because we've changed stuff in the middle. So we can duplicate, snapping on, and bring all these bits around the outside. Pinch to merge those. Swipe down with 3 fingers, copy all, go up to the top here, swipe down again, tap paste, bring this up to the middle, and then we'll just move this around the canvas like we did a moment ago. So I think that's going to be okay as it is. Let's have a look at it compared to the other one. It's not a whole bunch of difference, but just that bit there is definitely improved. So play around in that phase until you've got your layout and you're happy with it, and then we're ready to move on and illustrate the actual motifs. So this top one, I'm going to invert the colours, and when we come to illustrate these, the only ones we need to draw are the orange ones. The blue ones will be made by duplicating the parts of the canvas around. So at this point we can turn our pattern layer on, and on this empty layer here we'll start drawing these avocados. I'll draw the stones first because we won't be able to see once we draw over the avocado. So let's draw those first. We might try experimenting with having some of these as like the other half of the avocado. So like the scooped out bit that doesn't have the stone. But we'll just draw these in like this. And then we might change the colours up later so that some of these are the avocado middles. So now, underneath that layer, we can add a layer. This is part of the reason that these pattern markers are saved into this file, because you can go down to the very bottom layer and add a layer above it. If that wasn't there, you'd always be having to add a layer above and then drag it underneath. So that's one of the advantages to having this kind of empty marked layer at the bottom. So now we'll grab this green avocado flesh colour and we'll draw in all the parts that go underneath. So that's all of our motifs drawn. Let's choose a background colour now. Let's go for pink. So now we can alpha lock both of these layers, and I'm going to just start with the bottom layer first. We'll fill that one with white, add a layer above it, apply a clipping mask, and then with the Fun Sketcher brush I'm going to grab this colour again, and then I'm just going to scribble that lovely texture onto all of these avocados. Wait, before I do that, just for fun, curiosity's got the better of me. If I grab yellow and fill this, and they're all gonna look like eggs. So if you wanted to do an egg pattern, this would also work really well. And actually, now I'm like, I want that egg pattern. I really like it. I'm gonna make a second version of this later. Anyway, focus brain, focus. But in all seriousness though, isn't that like what creativity is all about? Like, you see something and you think, what if? And you try it out and you experiment. And to me, like, that is the very definition of creativity and like exploring, and just you spot something and you think, oh, I wonder about that. Just go with it. Like, that's how we get our best ideas. Sparking off someone else's creativity. Or even sparking off our own creativity. It doesn't always have to be like someone else's. So those are all done now. Lost my track of thought now. Right, make these white. There we go. Fill layer. So let's add a layer. Clipping mask. See, this is why I don't do live things and I can only do pre-recorded stuff, because something like this happens and I literally forget everything that I was ever going to say in my entire life. Fan sketcher. And so that I can have maximum editability on colour, I'll do each one on a separate layer. So I will add this colour to the swatches so you can use that too. And I'll go back to my brown and just have brown ones on this layer. So now we're ready to build out this pattern. I'm going to hide pattern marker here, and I'm going to swipe to duplicate this whole group. Then I'm going to flatten the copy. So I've still got all of my layers intact if I want to go and change something, but I've got a flattened copy here. And now I can hide all these layers. I'm going to put a mark going off the edges on this layer there, and then just the same way we did with our sketch layer, we can swipe to duplicate this layer. Turn snapping and magnetics on. Bring that over to that side. Duplicate and bring that up there. And bring that down. Now these ones on the top, we can pinch those four together and erase those bits in the middle, and then on the bottom one, erase those marks on that one. Then let's just have a look at a little before and after with and without the texture. So this is with the texture, bringing up all the different saturations of colour out of that, and then that's without. So now with your textures enabled, you can swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all. Come up to the top, swipe down again and tap paste. And then we're going to bring this up to the top corner so it says 1800 pixels there. Duplicate that and drag it over to the side. This isn't snapping very well, and I think that's probably because I have still got these two on, and I think it's probably trying to snap to the edge of this layer here. It's trying to snap to the edge of that. Can you see that only comes to there? And when I'm trying to snap this one, it's not jumping straight into the corner because it's trying to snap to that. So let's delete that. If you're finding that's happening and it's not snapping straight into the corners, turn everything off apart from this one that you're working with. Your textures are fine because they go all the way to the edge, but anything that doesn't finish at an edge, turn that off, and that should make it a lot easier. So let's duplicate this one. You see that snaps straight into the corner for me now. Pinch those two together, duplicate, bring those down. Just zoom into the middle to make sure there's no wonky bits there. That's looking all right. So that's our pattern finished. If you wanted to export this to share it, and you can upload it to somewhere like Spoonflower or Redbubble, you would export this version, not the duplicated one. So you'd hide this, and this is the one that you would share as a JPEG for sharing. Hope you've enjoyed making this avocado pattern. I can't wait to see your finished patterns over on Instagram. Tag me at Rebecca Flaherty so that I can see them and share them in my stories. If you've got any questions, let me know here in the comments. All the links for everything I've used and talked about today are in the video description. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you next time. Oh, and PS, here's my egg pattern.